Finish guys, I'm going to give you guys my Group H predictions. This is the final group of the Champions League. And yeah, so by the way, let me tell you guys how tomorrow the next two videos will be going out. So tomorrow for you guys on Sunday, I'll give you guys my other predictions. These predictions are basically kind of like my own predictions, like fun predictions, like overall the season goes, those kind of predictions. And then on Monday, I'll give you guys a rank of which group I think is the most exciting to look forward to, and that kind of stuff. And so yeah, those are the final two videos. And then on Tuesday, we will start with the Champions League. And by the way, I will give you guys my match review of today's match, but I want to get this Champions League video out first. So the Champions League video will come out first today. Then we will have a separate video about Barcelona versus Valencia game. Alright, so let's get on first with this. Alright, so we have our first group, our final group, and it's presented to us with Ajax winning 1994 to 1995 as winners. Chelsea 2011-2012 winners. Lille 2012-2013 group stage. Valencia 2000-2001 round of 16. Actually, runners-up. This is going to be very tricky to predict. This is going to be a very tricky group. Probably not as tricky. I have to say, I think out of all these groups, I think I have to say Group G is probably the hardest to call. And I still have some doubts about that group. I'm still not completely convinced of what I'm said, but it's anyways. So let's start with Ajax. Obviously, as we guys know, Ajax were the dark horse last season, and Ajax did incredible stuff beating Real Madrid, beating Juventus, and just falling short against Tottenham Hotspur. Can they replicate that again? And the short answer to that question is probably not. It's going to be very difficult, especially with the notable losses of Frankie de Jong and Matheus de Ligt and Sean to the respective clubs of Barcelona, Juventus, and I don't remember where Sean went. The thing is, it's going to be very difficult for them to replicate that form. And since everyone already knows how brilliant Ajax was last season, they're going to really keep their eye on Ajax, and Ajax may not be able to do as well. However, even though there were a lot of presentable issues with them, Ajax still were able and still got to the Champions League. So obviously they still have some quality, and they're obviously still good. Their core of their players are probably not. I still think this group of players are still very talented indeed, and I still think as a whole they can still do well. You know. And then next up we have Chelsea. Chelsea have been kind of interesting lately. I haven't been completely convinced of what Chelsea has been doing. Chelsea has, and some big notable players from Ajax are as follows. Donny van de Beek, Onana, Nicolas Tagliafico, Dusan Tadic, Per Shores, you know, to mention a few. And now we get to Chelsea. In my opinion, we haven't seen the best of Chelsea. Sure, Chelsea have won the Europa League, but that was largely in part thanks to Eden Hazard, who has departed now to Real Madrid, and that's put a huge dent in Chelsea. They did, however, add to their squad the notable players like Christian Pulisic, who in my opinion is a great player. He is a player that is very talented indeed. However, it should be worth noting that it will be difficult. It will be difficult for Chelsea to do well, and I still think Chelsea can do well. And from the Premier League, as is shown, they only have won once. And with today's win in hand, they've looked really good. So Chelsea are really capable of doing the unthinkable. Tammy Abraham has been very clinical. Mason Mount I've really enjoyed. Christian Pulisic has also been very good as well. And I think as a whole, Chelsea have really put themselves in the spotlight. You know, they also bought Batshuayi over the summer. But the thing is, they have a they have a 2-window transfer ban, which could really hurt them in the long run. So at the end of the day, it's a very tricky call to predict. Then we have next up, it is Valencia, Lille. Lille there isn't really much to talk about for Lille. Lille has really been kind of on the upside. You know, the fact they even sold one of their best players to Arsenal, Nicolas Pepe. That has really put a huge dent in the Lille squad, and I don't know if Lille will be able to do much in this Champions League. It's going to be very difficult for them to do well. And yes, they are third in the League One, but your local league and your Champions League is completely different. Just because you do well in your league does not. You really, in order to compete in the Champions League, you really have to be very good. You have to spend a lot of money, and you just have to have the right players to do it. And I just don't know if Lille has those players, and it's going to be tough, And the notable loss of Nicolas Pepe has really sparked hard. Renato Sanchez as one of the notable players for Losk. And yeah, I don't know, guys. I'm really indecisive, and I don't know how do I feel about Lille. And then we have Valencia, who Valencia sacked their coach after bringing them the Champions League qualification spot and even winning the Copa del Rey, which is unbelievable to say. Don't you guys agree? I think that's crazy to hear that they even sacked their coach. This is the coach that even brought them glory, and yet they still sacked him. I feel bad for the Valencia fans, and honestly, to me, it doesn't make any flipping sense whatsoever. So I'm assuming one of two things happened. I'm assuming most likely it was communications, or just the fact they just didn't like him. They just straight up just didn't like the guy and said, "Just screw you. We're gonna get rid of you." Which, in my opinion, were pretty bad calls. But obviously, I'm not the coach of Valencia. And Valencia did play out to Barcelona in a 5-2 loss. And Valencia still have some great players to mention. Valencia have Gaia. They, of course, have Gamero. Like I said, Valencia as a whole have been really good. Rodrigo, Gabriel. And so there is to it. And now it's time for the moment of truth. The Champions League predictions. Alright. I believe it is probably easier to start with the two teams that will not be advancing, then give you a quick rundown of how do I think the top two will look. Let's start with fourth place, and I think it's pretty obvious. I think Losk will finish bottom of the group. Like I said, it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough for them. I just don't know if they can really do it, and the fact they even lost Nicolas Pepe to Arsenal, I think that's going to really hit them hard. And I just don't know if they'll be able to do well, and I just don't think they have enough pedigree, enough talent to overcome both all Chelsea, Ajax, and Valencia, respectively. And third, this is where I'm going to get a lot of hate. I potentially could probably get a lot of hate. Maybe not necessarily hate per se, but like a lot of heat. And that is, of course, Valencia. Now, I have to say, though, Valencia can put up a tough fight. But the fact they even sacked their coach and the fact that they are playing with a new coach now, and I think that's going to really be difficult for them to do well. And at the beginning of this match in the Camp Nou, I'm trying to make this video kind of. I need to because like the funny part is that the Group H happens to be on Valencia, and guess what? Valencia played out with Barcelona in the La Liga game today, and so I don't know. I'm going to do this. Basically, my short way of saying this is that Valencia as a whole will need to work hard. They will need to have the best of their performances, and they certainly cannot. They have to essentially go Super Saiyan if they are to get out of this group. And I just don't think Valencia have enough talent. The fact they're struggling in La Liga with a win and a draw and even 2 losses now, that's really difficult for them to do well. And they're currently standing, as we speak right now, at 14th place, respectively. And that's not good. And Valencia could very well not even make the next Champions League. It's going to be very difficult for them to even make at this current stage. Although, to be fair, it is a bit early, and, obviously it's not like match 35 yet where they're essentially doomed. I still think they have a good chance, but obviously there's only a certain amount of games you can say that for. Then you have to really put the performances in, and obviously you have to perform every single time. There's no like, oh, I'll perform good in that occasion, whatsoever. So for me, I just don't know. I just don't know how Valencia will play. They've been kind of a mercurial team. And they did beat Barcelona Copa del Rey final, and I think as a whole, they haven't been as good. And the fact they even lost their coach over the summer, I think the last couple of days, I think that's gonna really hit them hard. And I just think that's gonna kill them. I think they will not be able to succeed under the new coach, and I think as a whole they will have to play in the Europa League. You know, I could be very wrong. However, yeah, I could be wrong. I have been wrong many times in my past. But I just don't know. It's going to be very difficult. As I said before, this group is anyone's game. You know, any of these teams could probably go through. Maybe except one, and we obviously discussed that one. That was Lusk. And yeah. And now it is finally time for the talk 2 of this will be very tricky to predict. Okay. Chelsea or Ajax? I obviously have both going through. But what will the order be? Well, I'll tell you what, guys, right now. I'm putting Chelsea at second. Okay? I know many of you guys are probably surprised I'm not putting Chelsea first, or maybe you were expecting me I would put third. I don't know. Chelsea, for me, have been good, but the problem is we haven't seen the consistency. You know, sure, they won 5-2 today, but like I said, Chelsea are not doing well. They gave up a 2-goal lead to Sheffield United, and I think the fact that I'm not trying to say that Chelsea suck by any means. That's not what I'm trying to say right now. It's just that Chelsea, I don't think Chelsea can keep this kind of clinical performance all the time. You know, it's going to be very difficult, especially with them the Champions League and the Premier League, trying to make sure they don't, you know. And the fact they're right now at 8, as we speak right now, they're 6th. That just puts them in the Europa League. They have to be in the top 4 in order to be in the Champions League. And once again, as I say for Valencia, it is a bit early to say that. So for me, Chelsea, I don't know. I really haven't. I don't know. I haven't seen any. There isn't anyone that could really say that really will step off. You know, the only 3 people I can see are Tammy Abraham, Christian Pulisic, and maybe Mason Mount. Kepa's pretty good as well. I have to give credit to him, obviously. But I just don't know. I just think that even with all this being said, I still think Chelsea are going to struggle. I think Chelsea will struggle, and there is a good chance they might not even advance out of the group. You know, I will go as far as saying that. And yes, I know they won today's game, but it doesn't matter about. It doesn't necessarily like just because you win one game in like 5 games in a row. It takes you 5 games to win an actual game. It doesn't make a difference. And I know he might have got the rhythm right now. It takes time to get the new rhythm. But there's already a team that's already have done this before, and that is Ajax. And everyone knows how Ajax will play. And let's go ahead and segue nicely to Ajax. Ajax, for me, have been tremendous. I have really enjoyed how Ajax have been playing, and the fact that Johan Cruyff is the guy that has made this club, and the fact that Ajax... And yes, I know they haven't had the good crop of players ever since both of the departures of both Matthews Delight and Frankie de Jong. I still think Ajax are a team you cannot write off. Ajax is a team that cannot be written off, and they still have the talent to do so. And even when there was pushed against them, they still were able to make the Champions League. And I still think they could do well. Maybe probably not do as well as last season. That might be a bit of a stretch. But I have full confidence they will top this group. And besides, we already have seen how Ajax can play. And Chelsea, for me, haven't been very convincing in the last 5 Premier League games as a whole collective unit. Okay? So we will see. I could be very wrong, as I said before. There's been many times where I've been wrong. But for me, at least, I think Ajax and Chelsea will go through in the respective order. Ajax first, Chelsea second, Valencia third, and Lille fourth. And that concludes my Champions League predictions. So let me know what you guys think below in the comments below. Do you guys agree with me? Do you guys disagree with me? Like I said below, I don't know. You know, this one's a tough one as well. I mean, I kind of could see Chelsea finishing first as well. Like, I could kind of see that happening. And I can kind of see Ajax going through the Europa League. But this is what I'm most confident about. And by the way, the notable player to look forward most in this group I'm really interested to see is Christian Pulisic. As you guys know, I am from the USA, and this is probably a little biased right now, but I want to see Christian Pulisic do well, and Chelsea, that will really give spotlight to America, and perhaps America as a whole could be represented. And interestingly enough, I believe there's every club in this group has an American player except for Valencia. I think Valencia is the only exception to that. Every other club has an American player. And yeah, I'm really excited to see how USA will be represented. And by the way, there is one team that's even managed by one manager that is from the US that's in the Champions League. I believe it's RB Salzburg, and I'm really curious to see how they perform as well. So, like I said, at the end of the day, it is a tough call to make. And the match to look for most in this group, I have to say, is Chelsea versus Ajax. I think this will be the game that will probably determine the first place and probably give us a good indication of how these teams will fare in the future rounds of the Champions League. And as a goal, give us a good indicator of how they will fare as a whole. And yeah. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video, guys. Let me know what you guys think below in the comment section below. And do you guys agree with me? Do you guys disagree with me? And make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Peace out.